In the next minutes, I'm going to provide you an overview of the Unstructured and Social Data Analytics Specific Enabler, or FITMAN Analyzer, as we tend to call it internally in the project. Initially, I'm going to provide you some slides describing which are the functionalities, what is the architecture, what is practically offered by your specific enabler, and then I'm going to show you a video of a short demo how can somebody utilize our specific enabler. In the end, I hope we will have time in which to respond to your questions, both myself and my colleague of Morphia, who is also in the call. So, starting with why to get the specific enabler, why should you invest in incorporating it in any product solution you are providing? Let me provide you a little bit of context very briefly. Data today is proliferating at astonishing rates. Every minute more than 300,000 tweets are posted online. At the same time, businesses, manufacturers has not tapped this potential. They have not embedded the power of data into their applications, into their products. It is still an open challenge for any manufacturing industry. In my slides in general, you will see an orientation towards manufacturers because it was under the manufacturing context in which this specific enabler was developed. However, as you will notice, as we proceed during this presentation, it can be easily utilized for any other domain, for any other usage in which you would like to make use of social and unstructured data analysis. What we pragmatically offer is a way to understand, to become more attuned to the customers, to the end users' wishes. You have the potential through this specific enabler to understand what is being discussed online about the topic of interest that specific topics of interest, to identify very early which are the sentiments that are associated to specific products, to specific brands, and in this way you're able to prevent any potential damage to the corporate reputation. Let's have in mind what happened some years ago with Dell and just one blog by Jeff Jarvis that created a lot of problems, a domino effect in Dell. And eventually, you're also able, through this specific enabler, to detect which are the user trends, which are things that are of interest to end users in order to early incorporate them in the product design. So, what you get? What you get is a web infrastructure to collect, store, process, visualize, and interact with unstructured and social data. Unstructured data are extracted from selected web resources through RSS feeds, and social data are extracted from selected social networks, namely Twitter and Facebook, as we will see later on, and turn the user-generated content in both cases into knowledge in order to be used for the benefit of manufacturers. You notice in my slide that we emphasize the infrastructure for digital factories. Digital factories is a way we have utilized in FITMAN in order to classify the offerings, the specific enablers we provide in three categories: virtual, digital, and smart factories. In the case of this specific enabler, it is classified under the digital factories category because it helps manufacturers to manage more efficiently the product life cycle. So, in this specific enabler, we acquire information based on specific keywords and specific accounts. This works both for Twitter and for Facebook. The public pages, not the personal profiles. In Twitter, the situation is different because all posts that are published online in Twitter are publicly available, so we are able to process them. The user of the specific enabler can also select specific RSS feeds that are retrieved with the help of the Unstructured Data Analysis generic enabler. This may raise a question from your side because it is a generic enabler that is not included right now in the Figware catalog. It was included more than a year and a half back. In the latest release of the catalog, it has been removed, and this is why we are also going to publish a next version of our specific enabler that removes the specific functionality because you are not able to utilize the generic enabler. Upon retrieving all the relevant information that is of interest to you, then what we do in the specific enabler is that we filter the information. We try to remove the noise by filtering stop words, repeated characters, trying to repeated messages in order to prepare the algorithms that are run in the background for the sentiment analysis. The algorithm that we are utilizing is SVM. It is a supervised machine learning algorithm, so a very necessary step in order to perform adequately and with satisfactory results is to conduct training. So preparatory training is necessary in the first time when you set up this specific enabler. This training can be conducted in the front end, in the user interface we provide, but also in the back end. Apart from the first time when somebody utilizes the specific enabler in which the training phase is a prerequisite, every time that the user sees that, for example, the sentiment tags that are assigned to each message, to each Twitter post or Facebook message is not correct, they can real-time validate the correct sentiment tag. And automatically the system, whenever a new post, a new tweet is collected by the system, it is automatically classified with a specific sentiment tag, negative or positive and neutral, of course. In the next step, what we offer is what we call trend analysis. We identify which are the keywords that appear more frequently in the posts that have been collected, and we give the opportunity to identify which are the hidden keywords that are emerging, that are discussed a lot online, but it had not been until now to our attention, as we will see in the video later on. All these results that have been collected and processed are then visualized in specific diagrams, and the user can create and store specific reports for specific keywords, specific time period, or with specific features that he is interested to investigate. This is part of what we call the reporting functionality. On the other hand, we also provide a live, let's say, results interface in which the user can navigate to all results, can see what has been said, can customize the specific dashboard according to his needs, and utilize it in order to create specific reports, targeted reports. The architecture of the specific enabler bears 5 layers. The first one concerns the data connectors that connect to the Twitter, Facebook API in order to retrieve the necessary information. The storage system has been implemented in Couchbase. The processing and querying engine is implemented on Elasticsearch. the trend and sentiment analysis engine interacts with the Rapid Miner and Rapid Analytics open source tools, and the visualization and report engine has been based on Google Charts and Kibana. All the components we have selected and the versions that you will find in the FITMAN catalog are open source, and this has allowed us to provide a specific enabler that is also open source, it is scalable and extensible. As I already mentioned, it is open source. It is distributed under the MIT license, the source code. During the FIPPP program and in general afterwards, it is free to utilize it. During the FIPPP program, we also offer free support to any developer that wants to experiment with or utilize our specific enabler. And this is why actually we're here today as well, to provide you a webinar on how to utilize it. With regard to provisioning, the specific enabler code is available as source code in SourceForge. The link is available in this slide, and it is also available as a virtual machine image in order to, with an Ubuntu installation. Specific instructions on how to set up and initialize the specific enabler have been provided in specific README files. In case you encounter any difficulty, please get back to us to provide you with support if necessary. And in the next minutes, the demonstration I'm going to briefly show you, it comes actually from one of the trials of FITMAN, from a BIMA and the furniture, let's say, use case. And I am going to undertake two roles. On the one hand, I'm going to be the marketing manager, and what I want to track is what is being discussed online about my competitors in order to see how to best position my campaign. And then, if being a product manager of a furniture manufacturer, what I seek is inspiration. Inspiration in order to see what kind of styles, what kind of colors are most appropriate for sofas in the next collection that we are currently discussing. You're noticing in the scenario I'm going to show you, the project has been already initiated. We have included specific settings, specific hashtags, specific accounts in Twitter, specific Facebook fan pages, and specific RSS feeds that have been already tracked. The project settings are done once, let's say, when you start utilizing the specific enabler, and the system collects all the relevant information from all the requested accounts, keywords, hashtags, etc. Then, let me go to the video. What you can see in the video is how we can create a new report in order, for example, to test what is being said online about various competitor brands like Concept, Natuzzi, Leroy Merlin, etc. We have removed from the specific report that we are creating IKEA because it had a lot of results associated with IKEA. And we wanted to see what happens with the rest of the competitors we have. We selected a specific time frame that was of interest to us, and then we are able to navigate. The report has been created, and we are able to navigate to the results. We can see all the messages that have been retrieved from Twitter. We can see the sentiments that are associated to tweets and Facebook posts that have been retrieved. Let me stop it a little bit here. We can see that in general the sentiment is at very large majority positive. And this is kind of anticipated because a lot of the tweets that have been retrieved were used as promotional material by the specific brands, their specific official Twitter and Facebook accounts. In the diagram here with the categories with the most positive effect, what we see is which is the brand that has most affected the positive outcome that we see in the pie chart on the right. So we notice that Natuzzi and Bo Concept are the two brands that have created the most positive sentiment. Then we notice that Bo Concept and Natuzzi are the two brands that have been mostly discussed. We can see which are the sentiments, positive, negative, neutral, that are associated with each brand. And then, okay, we can see separately Twitter, Facebook results. We had included only the fan page of Natuzzi in the initial settings we had put for the report. And then we navigate to the free search dashboard. And this is the dashboard in which developers have more freedom, let's say. They can customize the specific dashboard in the way they want. They can see the messages, the timeline when each message appears, which are the most common words that appear in English messages that have been stored. Let's say that we now want to create a report about the styles of the different sofas. We see in the whole, let's say, documents that have been retrieved specific styles like vintage, antique, etc. So we now go to create a specific report in which we try to create specific we try to identify what kind of sentiment is associated to each style. This is why we select specific keywords this time: sofa, couch, living room, instead of brands. We want the system to return us all results that have been collected. The styles we select are antique, vintage, modern, etc. And then we also add the colors, which white, black, gray, etc. That we're interested to see what kind of sentiment, how they are perceived by the customers. We then create again the report. We select specific dates. This video was created last year when the experimentation with a specific trial had started. This is why you see the dates from last year. And then we can navigate to the report. We see the messages that have been retrieved for the specific dates that we selected. We notice that there is not specific sentiment tag allocated to them in this initial, let's say, in the initial messages that had been retrieved. The reason for that was that they had just been retrieved at that time, and it needs a little bit of time to pass in order for the whole sentiment analysis procedure to be completed. For tweets that were, let's say, a little bit back in time, the sentiment tag has been already selected, and we can see that for older messages it was already positive and negative. They had already specific tags allocated. When we navigate to the sentiment tab, we can see that again the majority of the messages are positive. We can briefly see that vintage is the style that has been mostly positively thought of and discussed. Vintage, antique, and then modern. And the colors, we will go to a next diagram afterwards to see. The styles, colors are all queries that we could create as many similar queries as we wanted. We can see which are, for example, vintage, antique, and then modern, as I mentioned, are the trending keywords. We can see what is the sentiment per category. We can see what happens with the colors. White is mostly discussed and positively perceived. Then black, gray, I don't remember the rest of the colors. Afterwards, I'm going to move a little bit ahead. We can see which are the photos that have been retrieved from Facebook and Twitter. A specific sentiment has been allocated to each photo depending on the text analysis of the tweets. And then in that case, we saw a specific picture that we liked, we found out about a new account we would like to track, and we go back to the project setup settings and we add a new Twitter account that we continuously track. We move back to the free search functionality. We want to find keywords that we were not aware of, styles or related to furniture that we were not anticipating. So we select specific dates that we were aware at that time that a furniture fair happened in London during May last year. We want to see at the specific time frame what had been discussed. We notice various keywords that were expected, but we also notice a keyword that was out of the blue. We don't even know what it means, hardline. So what we do is that we put the keyword initially in the free search functionality. We realize it was only discussed for 2 days, and this is why we go back and create a new report with a specific keyword in order to see in more detail in the specific dates what had been discussed. We run the report, and then we're able to see that it is mainly retweeting the same message, the sentiment that has been already identified is positive, and we go to the photo gallery in order to see that it is exactly the same image, the same tweet that simply went viral during these 2 days of the conference. This was very briefly a demonstration of the functionalities of the specific enabler from the user interface perspective. If you want to utilize it, you can utilize the user interface, modify it, or utilize the functionalities provided in the backend only and develop your own user interface.